Round 2 of the Formula One World Championship season was staged at Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix. And after the brilliant Ferrari 1-2 at Melbourne, the rest of the teams knew they had some catching up to do. For the fans who thronged to the circuit, they were hoping for a Ferrari victory, with most of their hopes centred on local hero Rubens Barrichello. Barrichello in his 114th Grand Prix, but yet to pull off a Formula One win. Mika Häkkinen on pole position for the second time in the year 2000 and the 23rd time in his 130 race career. But Ferrari with the bulk of the support. An all McLaren front row for the second time this season. Häkkinen taking pole by 0.174 of a second from his teammate David Coulthard. For Häkkinen, the defending champion, he'd won in Brazil in 1998 and 1999. Behind the two McLarens came the two Ferraris for the second time this season, Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello, just 0.525 of a second covering the top four. Giancarlo Fisichella, fifth at Melbourne on row 3 with Eddie Irvine. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, third in the championship a year ago with Ricardo Zonta, second Brazilian, this time in the BAR. Great qualifying by Jenson Button in only his second Grand Prix for Williams, alongside Jacques Villeneuve. At the start, Mika Häkkinen away well, Michael Schumacher away brilliantly. He was past David Coulthard and challenging Häkkinen for first position by the first corner. Coulthard in third place, Barrichello in fourth. Häkkinen with his hands full, he had to hold back Michael Schumacher, the Ferrari man, on a real charge. Coulthard trying to lend support, but he too was under pressure from Barrichello in the second Ferrari. Alexander Wurz in the Benetton had to start from the pit lane. At the end of lap 1, Michael Schumacher took the inside line and swept through past Mika Häkkinen to take over the lead. Rubens Barrichello, in the meantime, had gone past David Coulthard. So the race order on lap 2, Michael Schumacher, Mika Häkkinen, Rubens Barrichello, David Coulthard and Eddie Irvine for Jaguar in 5th place. This is a replay of Barrichello overtaking Coulthard for 3rd, the Ferrari outpowering the McLaren down the pit straight and into the first corner. First retirement, Alexander Wurz for Benetton. Second retirement, Nick Heidfeld for Prost. Heidfeld, who'd done so well first time out at Melbourne. The Jaguar of Irvine, with Jarno Trulli immediately behind in the Jordan. Irvine with his hands full. The Jaguar just didn't seem to do what he wanted it to. Out went the second Prost, Jean Alesi, an unhappy weekend for him. He'd also been tangling with advertising banners during qualifying. Both Prosts out in the early stages. Rubens Barrichello swept past Mika Häkkinen. Now it was a Ferrari 1-2 to the delight of the crowd. Michael Schumacher obviously running on a light fuel load. He'd escaped into the distance. Barrichello showed that his Ferrari had power too. The nod indicated that Michael Schumacher was ready to come in for his early first stop. He'd built up a considerable lead, but it wasn't enough to prevent him losing first place. But Ferrari's strategy was working well. Barrichello now in first place. Michael Schumacher with enough fuel for a long middle stint. Barrichello and the crowd enjoyed his first place while it lasted. Then it was into the pits. Again, slick work by Ferrari. They were holding the whip hand. McLaren had all the thinking to do. Häkkinen back out in front as Irvine skidded out of control, and this time the car was too badly damaged to continue. Barrichello came into the pits for attention, and he too was forced into retirement. An unfortunate end to a Grand Prix which promised so much for the local man. Another Brazilian, Ricardo Zonta for BAR, delayed in the pits. Problems with the right front and with some spilt fuel. First pit stop at Jordan for Jarno Trulli, who'd worked his way up 6 places from his grid position. Then Mika Häkkinen in trouble, crawling into the pit lane, and for the second successive Grand Prix this season, he was forced into retirement. That left Michael Schumacher out in front from David Coulthard. And Schumacher, with a series of blistering laps, extended his lead. Jos Verstappen, a surprise third for Arrows. The Arrows pit crew under pressure, but they performed superbly. Verstappen out again in his quest for points. Heinz-Harald Frentzen at Jordan. And Coulthard in from second place for McLaren. Coulthard's McLaren at this stage was starting to show signs of problems with the gearbox. Despite an 8.8 second pit stop, he couldn't match Michael Schumacher. Schumacher setting the fastest lap of the race on lap 48 out of 71. Schumacher built up a 48-second lead over Coulthard, had plenty in hand for a straightforward pit stop. Fisichella in a podium position for the first time since the middle of last season. Benetton, recently been sold to Renault. They'll change their name to Renault in the year 2002. The end of Jaguar's interest came with the retirement of Johnny Herbert. Truly going well for Jordan and in the points. Jenson Button showed that he was learning fast in Formula One, going past Verstappen. Schumacher thundered on towards the checkered flag to pick up his second win in 2 races this season. The time a fraction over 1 hour 31, the average speed just over 200 kilometers an hour. An impressive win for Schumacher, his third in Brazil. Behind him, David Coulthard, who closed towards the end, but without ever threatening Schumacher and Ferrari's dominance. In third place came Giancarlo Fisichella. The 2 Jordans were 4th and 5th, with Ralf Schumacher for Williams in 6th place. But an unwelcome 29th birthday present for David Coulthard. His McLaren front wing was found to infringe technical regulations, and his second place was withdrawn. McLaren and Coulthard said they would appeal against the decision. A result which left Ferrari with their first win in Brazil for 10 years and a considerable lead in the Constructors' Championship. Among the notably not classified drivers, Häkkinen, Barrichello, Irvine and Villeneuve. Congratulations all round for Michael Schumacher on a superb win. And the reason for his broad beam quite evident from the Drivers' Championship table. A full 20 points from 2 races for Schumacher, nobody else with more than 6, and his great rival for the title, the defending champion Mika Häkkinen, yet to get off the mark. For Schumacher, 130 Grand Prix, 37 wins and an incredible 73 podium finishes. His performance gave Ferrari a commanding lead in the Constructors' Championship of 20 points. McLaren with their 6 under appeal. Benetton, Williams, Jordan and BAR the only other teams to have scored this season. Ferrari celebrated in style, and it was a victory crowned for Michael Schumacher when the trophy was presented by one of his great heroes, the footballing legend Pelé.
Yeah, I mean, we made definitely some improvements to our start strategy. I think we got the hand on that, and I almost was able to catch Mika straight away, but I didn't want to take too much risk, and obviously he was not too keen to let me by, which luckily through our strategy we were able to do that in right after the first lap. It was quite entertaining. I mean, it doesn't happen too often that you have between the leaders a real fight and overtaking, so I enjoyed that.
David Coulthard, second place, if his appeal's successful.
First of all, I didn't get my start quite right. I was all hooked up, ready to go, but the lights didn't change quite when I wanted them to, so that meant I hesitated, and that's obviously where I lost some time there. And then very early on I lost third gear, so I did the whole race using only fourth and upwards.
For Giancarlo Fisichella, his first podium position since Canada last year.
Yeah, sure, it's a great result. I am very pleased for this third place. It was my target, to be honest. Already yesterday I understood the possibility to get on the podium. So I would like to say thank you very much to the Benetton team.
But who can stop Michael Schumacher and Ferrari? 2 wins in 2 races. And next, it's to Imola and the San Marino Grand Prix on Ferrari's home ground.